Well, hello there, Teen Droid TV. Today is Monday, and it is October 29th, the day of the Google event. This is not the Android vlog. This is me going over all the things that got announced at the Google event today, so excuse me if I'm holding a tablet through the whole video. There's a lot of information to cover, and I can't fit it all up there. There's just so much to remember. So let's get going. I'm going to go over all the different devices and most of the new features, at least all the ones that they have let out on their website for Android 4.2. Let's get going. So, first of all, they announced two new devices and two new versions of the Nexus 7, as well as Android 4.2. So I guess I should start off with the thing that's been leaked the most, which is, of course, the Nexus 4, their new flagship Android phone. So, I'm going to start off, of course, it is called the Nexus 4. It is built by LG, and it has a 4.7-inch 1280 by 768 display. Now, if you're wondering about the odd resolution with the 768, it's because of the soft keys. With the soft keys, like if you subtract the number of pixels that they take up, you get exactly 1280 by 720, so you get a full 720p display. And so the pixels don't subtract from it, which is something surprisingly a lot of people had problems with the Galaxy Nexus. They were always complaining about that. And so it is an IPS display, it has Corning Gorilla Glass 2 on it, and of course the CPU, as we all thought, is a Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 Pro. That's a quad-core processor for those of you who are wondering. Apparently it's going to be probably clocked at 1.5 gigahertz. They haven't really specified. It is 103. Yeah, I'm not even gonna read those. It's 9.1 millimeters thin. It's 139 grams, so it's pretty light, pretty thin. It's got an 8 megapixel back-facing camera, a 1.3 megapixel front-facing camera. It comes in unlocked GSM, UMTS, and HSPA Plus modes. There's going to be 3G on, obviously, the unlocked versions will not have LTE. There's not going to be a Verizon version, but I think I heard a rumor that AT&T may have an LTE version. I'm not sure if that's true. It doesn't appear so on this website, so I don't know what to think about that. Anyways, for memory, on the internals, we have a max of 16 gigabytes. There's an 8 gigabyte and a 16 gigabyte model, at least from Google. Now, last year we also saw only 16 gigabytes of space from Google, where we saw 32 gigabytes on the carrier. So maybe if it comes out on AT&T or Sprint, it may feature 32 gigabytes of space. But until then, we're stuck with 16. Lots of people are going to be a little bit angry about that. It's also got 2 gigabytes of RAM to drive. It's going to be so smooth. It's not even funny. Connectivity's got a micro USB port, slim port HDMI. I don't know what that is. Maybe that's what they're calling MHL. And a 3.5mm headphone jack. It's got wireless charging, so there's a wireless charging dock. You just lay on top of it, and it rests. Of course, that's not a big surprise, since Matias Duarte, which is the lead designer of user experience at Android, used to work for Palm, and they were big into wireless charging. So it's cool to see that introduced to Android. It's got NFC and Bluetooth, of course, Wi-Fi 802 and 11N, VG and N. No A, that's interesting. It's got 2100 milliamp hour lithium polymer battery. Now, I'm going to sound really stupid in this video just because I'm reading specs off of the spec sheets. But anyways, it's going to be launching with Android 4.2, Jelly Bean, more on that later. Of course, for sensors, it's got a microphone, accelerometer, compass, ambient light, gyroscope, barometer, and GPS. Full suite of sensors. And so, that'll be starting at $300 unlocked, which is crazy for the 8 gigabyte version, and at $350? Yes, $350 for the 16 gigabyte model. So that is absolutely insane. Great pricing, especially since if you consider that the iPhone 5 unlocked starts at $800 and the Galaxy S3 starts at like $650, $700 unlocked. That is absolutely insanely good pricing. So that there's no news on availability quite yet. I think it's available for purchase on Tuesday, November 13th. That's probably in stores, so that's really cool. Looking forward to that. Anyways, Nexus 7. We got some new pricing, some new looks at this. And a totally new model, well, two totally new models. The 16 gig, well, first of all, the 8 gigabyte version is gone. You can't buy it anymore. It's absolutely gone. Boom, shelved. No more making it. The 16 gigabyte has been knocked down to the 8 gigabytes price of $200. Of course, that matches the Amazon Kindle Fire pretty closely. And of course, it is a lot cheaper than Apple's iPad mini. Now we have a 32 gigabyte version for $250. That is where the 16 gigabyte was originally, and now it's 32 gigabytes at the same price. So that's a good deal. I feel a little bit sorry for those people who had them before. Anyways, and then we also have a third model of it is $300, and it is the 32GB 3G model. It's unlocked, it's HESPA+, so that means you'll probably be able to hook it up to T-Mobile and AT&T here in the States. I don't know what the other carriers are in other, in other nations. I'm just not that good yet. So that's the same Nexus 7 we've known and loved. Blah, blah, blah. Same thing, better prices, better storage options. Can't hurt. So, now for the Nexus 10, yes, we didn't hear much about this until late last week where we finally saw some proof of this. So, the screen, oh my goodness, this is nuts. It's a 10.055-inch screen with a resolution, now get this, a resolution of 2560 by 1600 pixels. That's a resolution of 300, actually really kind of over 300 pixels per inch. Now that is higher than, like, that is more pixels that's in this than what's in this TV. That's nuts. Like, that is crazy. It's a WQXGA. I have no idea what that means. And then it's Corning Gorilla Glass 2 as well. Now, as for the CPU, this is interesting because we haven't seen this chip anywhere yet. This is a dual-core A15. It's an Exynos processor, we know that much. This is made by Samsung, the Nexus 10. So this is interesting, because we haven't seen this processor anywhere. We don't know how it benchmarks. We don't really get it. Why wouldn't they put a quad-core chip in it? We have no idea. So this will be interesting to see what how this chip performs. The GPU is a Mali T604. I think we might have seen that before. I'm not sure. Anyways, it's probably really good. Anyways, the size is, it's 8.9 millimeters thin, so that is crazy thin. That's thinner than the Nexus 4, and that thing looks really thin, so I mean, goodness, this thing must be, like, really thin. Like, even my Asus is pretty thin, but I mean, that's just nuts. Weighs 603 grams, that's pretty light. 5 megapixel back-facing camera, we did see some pictures from that last week, and they look pretty good for a tablet camera. And then the front-facing is 1.9. That's interesting that they didn't put a 1.9 in the Nexus 4, but they would in the Nexus 10. The wireless is Wi-Fi 802.11b GNN, MIMO plus HT4O. I think that means that it's got two different Wi-Fi radios so they can have a better reception. It's got Bluetooth and, of course, NFC. That is interesting because I don't think I know of any other 10-inch tablets that have NFC. Memory, it's got 16 gigabytes internal. I think, is there a 32 gigabyte version? Yes, there is. It's got 16 gigabytes stock, 2 gigabytes of RAM. It's got a micro USB port, a magnetic pogo pin charger. That's interesting too. I don't know what to think about that they've taken the default charging. Well, no, I guess the default charging, I think it actually might be, but they've got a magnetic pogo pin charger, which is interesting. We never had magnets before. It's got micro HDMI. That's nice. I personally am not a fan of MHL. I'm more a fan of the micro HDMI ports that we have on some other tablets. And then we've got the 3.5mm headphone jack. Another really cool thing about this is the 9,000 milliamp hour lithium polymer battery. That is crazy. That is huge. That's twice the Nexus 7's. That's like 3 times. No, that's not even 3 times. That's almost 5 times bigger than the Nexus 4's battery. It's like over like 5 or 6 times bigger than the Galaxy Nexus's stock battery. It also comes running Android 4.2, and of course it's got a microphone, accelerometer, compass, ambient light sensor, gyroscope, barometer, and GPS, full suite of sensors. So that's what's new in the devices. That's pretty cool, and I mean, that is everything we've heard, and I guess a little bit more, just because, like, just recently we got some wireless charging leaks, but they're real. So this is really cool. There are a couple of controversial points that I know are going to be controversial, like, okay, why does the tablet have a dual core in it? Why is there no LTE on the Nexus 4? Why are there no 32GB options for the Nexus 4 as of yet? So, I mean, we're going to have to wait and see on some of these, but overall, I'm sure these will all sell really well. As for the pricing on the Nexus 10, almost forgot, we have a $399 16GB model, which is Wi-Fi only. Of course, there's no 3G model, but it's interesting, they have Wi-Fi symbol, like Wi-Fi only symbols next to them, so maybe there'll be a 3G version in the future. It seems kind of odd to have a 3G Nexus 7, but no 3G Nexus 10. Just in my opinion. And then we have a $500 32GB version, so that is undercutting Apple by quite a bit. It's like, if you're gonna go $329 for an iPad mini, you can pick this thing up for, like, what, 70 bucks more? Who wouldn't do that? Well, I guess iSheep wouldn't, but I would. I totally would do that. And so that's all for the devices. There's no, I mean, you can buy all 3 of the new versions, I think, Tuesday, November 13th, so, hey, if you're looking to buy 3 new Android devices, all of which are cutting edge, get the Nexus 4, Nexus 7, and Nexus 10, and you'll have, like, the entire ecosystem, and you'll be the most pimpinest Android guy ever. as for what's new in Android itself, we have quite a few new features that they introduced today. The most, I guess, new thing that nobody else has ever done is this new thing in the camera called, I guess, photosphere, and basically it kind of is like a panorama where you can pan across in a traditional panorama. Well, in this, basically you take a bunch of pictures. It guides you through taking pictures. It uses the gyroscope to detect where your device is, and it guides you through taking pictures to cover 360 degrees around you, so basically a huge sphere around you. And then, of course, you can, it stitches them together, and it puts them all together into a gigantic seamless image, so it's a huge sphere, and you can scroll all the way around it. It's really cool. I mean, that is just amazing, and so I'm looking forward to that, and of course those will be shareable through Google+, apparently. It'll be interesting to see what Google does with those, because that is a new feature, nobody else has done it. Apart from that, there are a couple other major improvements to the camera. They completely redid the UI. There's no more knobs or switches or anything. Instead, you have this really cool UI where you hold down your finger on the screen, and basically a menu pops up around it, a circular menu, and around that circle you have like the different menus that you're used to. You have like a flash menu, a settings menu, like an effect menu. Now to get into one of those menus, you just slide your finger into it, and then if there's any more menus past that point, like the different types of flash, like auto, no, or yes flash, then that would pop up and you can slide your finger into that. So you never actually have to lift your finger. You can just make all the selections you want just by sliding your finger. And so it looks like it's going to be really, really useful, and I'm really excited for that because they also added an HDR mode, which is something that would probably help my Galaxy Nexus's camera quite a bit, and I'm pretty excited about that. Of course, I'm excited for everything in Android 4.2, but that's one of the most things I'm excited for. It's just the new camera app. And I thought this was going to happen because they changed the icon, and we saw that, and we didn't know why, but I suspected, because usually they don't change the icon of a stock app unless there's a big change to it. So I thought I saw that coming. And so they now have like a smarter keyboard. I guess this is kind of like Swipe, and I've never liked Swipe. I always thought it was gimmicky. I never was able to get it to work. But apparently this is a lot more fluid. It's kind of the same thing where you drag your finger around to the letters to complete words. But unlike Swipe, where you slide to the different letters to complete the word and then it shows up, this tracks your input live. So you can, like, it tracks you TODAY, and that probably is going to help a bit because you can see if your word was correct or not. It also has prediction, just like normal typing, so that should be really cool. I personally am looking forward to that a lot because, I mean, I've never tried Swipe, but I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to give this gesture thing a chance, and I want to try it out. It sounds kind of cool. Another thing they have is multiple user supports, and that is also another first. Nobody else, I mean, in the mobile OS, obviously they've had it in desktop operating systems for years, but nobody else in the mobile space has done multiple users. Well, kind of Windows 8 RT, Windows RT if you call that mobile. It's debatable. Anyways, this is the first one between Apple and Android to do it, but this is really cool. I'm also kind of looking forward to this. It does not look like it's available on phones, only available on tablets, which I guess makes sense. Usually a phone's a pretty personal device, but I mean, that'll be interesting. So you can have a family tablet, that kind of thing. That's pretty cool. I think that's going to be cool. I think an Android guy just committed suicide. Yep, he did. A little Android figure just committed suicide off the back of my TV. Oops. Anyways, so they also have a wireless sharing feature. Now, there's not a whole lot of details on this, but apparently you can share HD video to a TV, kind of like how you could with the Nexus Q, only it doesn't list having to have a Nexus Q as one of the features. It looks kind of like Apple's AirPlay, dare I say it, but there's no specifics on what TVs it will support or how it will do it, so we're just going to have to wait and see on that one. I have no idea how that'll work. We also have better expandable notifications where you can expand and close all of them at once by sliding up and down. I think that's kind of cool. We saw a little bit of that in 4.1.2 Jelly Bean, so that's interesting to see here. Also in the notification shade, we have a new button. Normally where like the quick settings button would be, we now have a button that instead pulls up a quick settings page. So it kind of flips over in the notification shade, and there you have like your contacts, so you can click on yourself. Say if you met someone new and they were like, oh, what's your contact info? You can pull this out, slide down the notification shade, hit the button, and then hit your contact info, and it will pull up your phone number, your picture, your email address, so it's really easy to give them your info. I think that's really cool. That's something I would personally use because I always fumble around looking for my contact when I need it most. Also have stuff like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, data, toggles, etc., maybe brightness, I don't know. So that's cool. I'm pretty excited for that. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to everything. I already said this, but that sounds pretty cool. Now, I don't really know what this... Like, I guess this is kind of like a screensaver where when your device is like not on but not all the way off, then your pictures on the device will kind of like float around the screen, kind of like a slideshow, and so that's kind of interesting. They didn't say a whole lot about that either. So there are improvements to Google Now, where now you have some better voice commands. Still no hardware commands, so you can't say to it, Google, turn off Wi-Fi, and then it'll turn off Wi-Fi. It still doesn't do that. I tried. They released the update to Google Search in the Play Store, so even if you're not on 4.2, you can still try it out. And nope, no comprende, or no bueno, or whatever that is. I don't take Spanish. But yeah, it doesn't work, unfortunately. That's something I'm kind of disappointed about. That was something I wanted to be able to do, is turn off stuff like that. Even though with quick settings it barely makes it a viable option, because it would just be faster every time. And so, it's still fast and smooth. They're still touting that it's just butter smooth, and so that's pretty cool. Now, I mean, yeah, it's just talking about stuff. Now, this is something that isn't actually on this page in 4.2. They're not touting it on this 4.2 page, but I saw this in a Verge video, because the Verge went up to Mountain View and got an exclusive look. Lucky people. And so basically what this is interesting, because it didn't look final. I don't think it's probably going to come out in 4.2, maybe 4.2.1 or something like that, because this doesn't look finished. But on the lock screen, so say you unlocked your phone, you had the pattern lock on there, you could swipe to the left, and you could assign a widget to that page, so I could have my calendar widget there, and so I could look. It was kind of like home screens, only on the lock screen. So you'd have home screens. You couldn't put apps on because you don't want to be able to launch an app from there, because you don't want people getting into your phone. But there were widgets on the lock screen, so you could scroll to a widget, scroll to another widget, place multiple widgets on one screen, and if you scroll to the right of the pattern lock, you got your camera real quick. And so I think that's pretty cool, because one of the reasons I have not been using a pattern lock on my device is because I like being able to get that quick flick access to the camera real quick. So even if sometimes people can be obnoxious and like take your phone and get in it at school or whatever, or steal your phone, heaven forbid, then I guess this is pretty nice a case for using pattern unlock instead of a slide to unlock. So that's pretty interesting. I don't know what to think about those widget home screens. They didn't look finished. It looked basically like Google had ported the home screen UI out to the lock screen, and so I think that's probably a not completely finished feature, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. The only gripe I have with anything today is that with the tablet UI, you don't have the traditional 3 buttons in the lower corner down here. You have them in the middle, and you have to pull down the notification shade like on the phone or on the Nexus 7. And we saw this with the Nexus 7 tablet or smaller tablet UI, and it was just kind of like, well, I guess that makes sense since it's a 7-inch tablet. On a 10-inch tablet, I don't know how I'll like it. I'm pretty used to the 10-inch tablet UI on this, so we'll have to see how that works. I mean, if Google did it, there must be a reason. I don't know what it is, but I guess we'll see. I guess we'll keep you guys posted. There's also going to be, I don't know when this video is exactly going to go up, hopefully on Monday, because that's when it's supposed to go up. I hope I don't lose power to the storm. Even up here in northern US, we're getting some some little effects of Hurricane Nexus, as one of the Team Droid editors dubbed it, and so that's a cool name. I'm not going to call it Hurricane Sandy anymore. It's going to be Hurricane Nexus. So anyways, hope that I can upload this to you guys, and there will also be a daily vlog up today, so look for that as well. Thanks guys for watching, and I guess I'll see y'all oh my gosh, I can't believe I just said see y'all. I guess I will see you all tomorrow or later today for the vlog, and I guess thanks for watching. Peace.